Hello and welcome to AA Beyond Belief, the podcast. I'm your host, John S. Today we'll be speaking with Jerry F. about the upcoming Arizona WAAFT convention to be held in Phoenix on November 7th, 2015. We hope you enjoy the conversation.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is pretty exciting about the convention. How'd this all come about?
Well, it was, I went to Santa Monica and came back from it. Well, I should probably mention that at the time, I was thinking of starting a agnostic atheist meeting because I couldn't find one. I looked and looked for any in the Phoenix area and couldn't find any. And so when the Santa Monica convention started, I thought, well, I will go there and I will pick up uh, tips on how to start a meeting and come back, and then maybe, very reluctantly, because it's a lot of work, I'm sure. So I thought, if no one else starts one, I guess it's going to be up to me, and I will go ahead and start a meeting. So I went to Santa Monica and met 5 or 6, 7 people from the immediate Phoenix area there, and we all were surprised to meet each other. We were all surprised that we all pretty much long-term sobriety and agnostic, atheist, freethinkers type of people. And so from that, we came back and started. Even people being people, the 6 or 7 dwindled down to 2 or 3, but that's okay. That's okay. 2 or 3 of us started a meeting, and we were all stoked. We were really high on this whole idea of having this type of a meeting. We were all so pleased with it. And then, as we settled in, and the numbers in our meetings kept growing, numbers of people, the exposure kept growing. It just seemed like a long time to me till Austin, till next year in November. So I wondered about the idea of starting a meeting of the Arizona WAAFT people, and of course I would peg it for November, right in between the Santa Monica and Austin. And I thought and thought about it, and I thought, well, what if it's such a good idea, Jerry? Then why aren't 49 other states doing this? And I couldn't answer that. So I finally contacted Dorothy at WAAFT Central, and she thought it was a fantastic idea. She was actually more enthusiastic about it than I was, and she pushed me to start it and do. She was a lot. She has been a lot of help, not just as a cheerleader. She has been that too, but she's also provided a lot of useful information about exposure and how to get the word of the convention out there, and how to put the program together. And so I talked to some people in this area, and again, some people thought it was kind of a off-putting idea, and others they really grabbed a hold of it. And there have been 3 or 4 people here that have dedicated an enormous amount of their time to this convention.
I think it's an excellent idea, and I bet you I can foresee the day when there will be several regional conventions for us. You know, they do the same thing with the gay community in AA. They have regional conferences and so forth. So someone had to be the first, and you were it.
Yes, I suppose so.
So that's pretty interesting. So when you went out to Santa Monica and you met the other people from the Phoenix area, there were no agnostic AA meetings in the Phoenix area at the time?
Not only, as far as I could tell, and I did some research, as far as I could tell, there were none in Arizona. I was the only one in all of this entire state, and you get a pretty lonely feeling at that point, and also somewhat incredulous because there have to be other people like me here, and
Yeah.
it's just but how do you find them? And so, and it turned out that they were here. A woman had started a meeting in Phoenix 2, 3 months, I think, before Santa Monica, and it was just getting off the ground. A man in Yuma has had a meeting there for a couple of years, but Yuma is way out of touch with anything, and so no one was aware of it. He's a great guy. He's kept this meeting going for 2 years, but very much isolated out there. So Yeah, there were other people, and there were meetings already. We didn't start the first meeting in Arizona. We started, I don't know, the fourth or fifth. But we do have the largest meeting, the weekly meeting, and we've now branched into three meetings a week with my group. And in Arizona altogether, there are 12 meetings a week, and there are six groups with 12 meetings. And that just changed. That was actually a week ago. I would have said there were five groups and 11
Yeah.
meetings. But a man started a meeting in the West Valley, and so now it's still growing. It's still going to grow before the year ends. There are going to be more.
We're going to have to update the meeting directory on WAF Central because you do have more meetings than we have on our site. We'll have to fix that.
Hopefully, we'll keep ahead of you on that too.
That's pretty incredible that you've grown that quickly. We started a group out here also and have done pretty well. We started about a year ago, and we now meet 6 times a week. There's two groups, so we have 6 meetings a week. There's probably about 100 of us all together between the two groups.
Wow,
So
that's great though. That's a lot of people.
yeah, yeah, it's encouraging.
Yes, it is. That's
So tell me about the convention. It's going to be November the 7th at the Burton Barr Central Library in Phoenix.
right. That's downtown Phoenix, and it's the library is has a capacity in that room of 75 people, so that's going to be it. That's why on the flyer that goes out, people are signing up either online or mailing in their registration. But it will max out at 75. And the other thing is they won't allow us to actually sell any tickets or sell anything at the door. So, at the
Okay.
library. So yeah, the 75 who make it are the ones that make it in.
Okay. Well, that'll be fun. And I noticed that you've got Dorothy H already is going to be a speaker.
Yes, she is. She certainly is. Yes.
I'm sure that she's excited about that.
Yes, I mean she'll do an excellent job on that. And we have a woman, Anne, who is just short of being 80 years old here, and she's been in the program for over 40 years. I think it's 45 years, something like that. And she's going to be a speaker, and she has a world of experience and stories to tell, funny stories to tell about sobriety and AA. So, and we're going to have one 20-minute skit, which is something that I came up with because there are some things that I wanted to say about atheism and agnosticism within AA, and that I've just been thinking about for quite some time, and I wanted to get across. But it's heavy stuff, and I don't want I don't want anybody standing up on a stage preaching at me, and so I wrapped it around this 20-minute skit, which actually has much more comedy and even slapstick than it has any message to it. But that's okay. It'll be a group of it's the oldest group. We believe it to be the oldest group in the East Valley, and it's been around for well over 50 years. And it's also an old group in the sense that we have a lot of sobriety. We have a woman with 53 years, a man with 51 years, and somebody with 47 years. So a lot of everybody, in fact, everybody who regularly attends that meeting is an old timer, and then old also in terms of age. I mean, we're all pretty well up there in order to achieve that kind of sobriety. And I'm the only one who who is the one who is Jerry and his atheism. But as long as no one brings up step two or step three at the
Mhm.
group meeting, why we get along. And we get along fine even then because uh, I think it's wonderful that someone has something to help them. And if that something is a religion or it's a superstition or some sort, voodoo, I don't care what it is, if it's helping them and if they're staying sober at the same time and living a good life, who am I to say that the voodoo is not is what's right for them? And so, uh, and they all look at me and they know what I'm going to say if they bring up step two or step three or God or something. They've already heard me. They could say it instead of me. They wouldn't have to listen to me. But but they're very tolerant, and they love me, and I love them, and they're a wonderful, God-loving group. So
That's cool. That's the way it should be. Good size, I think, for a first conference.
well, it is, and we're really taking it try. Well, we are taking the long view of this. If this is the first, and it
Mm.
really doesn't matter what if we wind up at 70 people instead of 75 or 65 people instead of 75. The point
Uh,
is that we're breaking ground. We're starting. This is something new. We're it's going to grow. We're just in the front end of something that's going to grow. And 2 years from now, I believe that there will be an Arizona WAFT meeting, and I believe it will be an unqualified success, whether this one is or not. That's the point. The point is to get it started, to get people thinking along those lines of having another convention 2 years from now. So we want to
yep.
start the promotion for 2016 right now. So
Yep. Yep. I love it. I'll probably go the next time you have one of these. I wish I could go this time.
yes, yes, we'd love to have you. Right, right. Of course, we have our meet. We tend to be because it is large. We tend to be in communities, and that we're in the East Valley, and like I haven't been in the West Valley in probably 10 years, you know. So, but in
Mhm.
the East Valley, we're 1.4 million. That number I do know. That's our population, and with the groups that we have, the our group actually is the only one servicing the East Valley. Uh, that's 1.4 million people we have to draw on, of which a lot of them are LPs, of which some of them are non-believers. So yeah, we certainly have the market's out there. All we have to
Oh
is
yeah.
keep getting people aware of the fact that it's there for them. And plus, we have John. Let me say, at our meeting, our Sunday meeting is our large one. We typically have 25 people there, 30, and always, every time, there will be at least one person there who is a believer, who is not there to bust the meeting, anything in the kind. They are a believer. They show up. They say about the strength that they get from God or from Jesus Christ and how that is central to their life and how meaningful that is. And I just love to hear those people say that because they feel safe and in that environment with 24 people around them who don't agree with them on their religion, they are comfortable in telling us about that. And I'm always just it makes my day when that happens, and it happens most Sundays. So
Yeah, I like that too. I remember I was talking to when I was first learning about agnostic AA and we were first starting our meeting here. A woman from Colorado Springs at the Happy Heathens group. She was coming to our meetings in Kansas City, and she told me that at any given time, maybe about 40% of the people in her meeting were believers. And she said for her meeting, it wasn't, it was all about just taking religion off the table and just having a nice meeting that people can focus on supporting each other. And I thought that was kind of nice.
what else?
And I like to see that too here. There's been a bit of a challenge though because we have some people that come into the meeting and they've just had such a horrible experience with trying to come out as an atheist in their other meetings that they have a lot of venting to do. And I think sometimes it scares off some of the believers. But
Yes,
that's something we have to work on, I guess.
yes, we have had only one meeting that I'm aware of in Arizona. It was in the Phoenix area that for whatever reason, people were either anti-AA or anti-religion or anti-God or anti some damn thing, and so they would
Mhm.
go on in anger at length. And those were not. I went to three of those meetings and kept thinking the next one was going to be different, but they were all. I, I stopped going, and really shortly thereafter, other people stopped going, and the meeting actually failed. It's unfortunate because I think those people who have been that traumatized at traditional meetings, they do need to get that out. Hopefully, there's the sponsor-sponsee relationship is growing as well as everything else to do with the WAFT type meetings, and those people can talk to a sponsor, a WAFT sponsor, an agnostic or atheist or freethinker sponsor, and tell them of their experiences and get it off their chest in that manner.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. It's, I remember people telling me when I was new, yeah, feel free to share what you need to in a meeting, but you don't have to air all of your dirty laundry out there for everyone to hear. You have a sponsor you can talk to about things, and that's something that we should stress in our group too. That's that's when I was also at the convention in Santa Monica, and for me, I felt like that was such a positive experience because man, the energy was all about starting new meetings, about helping people, about it was just love and acceptance and openness, and that's the spirit that I like to see carried on in our movement.
It was great. I really enjoyed Maria and Reverend Ewing. They really got people fired up, and as if we weren't already,
Yeah.
by just by being in a room with so many of a like kind. As I say, I thought I was the only. I knew it couldn't be, but it seemed like I was the only one in Arizona when I hopped a plane and flew over there, and then to meet so many people who were, and many of them had already gone through that kind of doubt and had started meetings, and so I was just soaking up everything I could every minute that we were there. So,
Just imagine what Austin's going to be like. I mean, it's incredible when you think about, there weren't very many meetings that anyone even knew of in Arizona. Now you've got 12 meetings going on, and you've got people like 25 or 30 people at a meeting. You're going to have a large contingent of people probably in Austin. In Santa Monica, I was the only person there from Missouri.
oh wow, really?
Yeah, that's not going to happen this time. There's going to be a lot of people from Missouri down there.
Yeah,
I just can't even imagine how big that thing's going to be this time around.
yeah. Well, as they say, keep Austin weird, and we are weird, so we'll fit right in with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to this and seeing how this goes. Um, we'll have to stay in touch. Like during the convention, maybe we can do a little blog about what's going on there, and maybe we can talk about what happened. Your experience with it after the convention,
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm
to
looking
see
forward
how
to
it went.
it.
And if there's anything else that we can do here to support it and get the word out, we'll have to put this out on definitely the WAAFT Central website, and we can post about it on our Facebook group, and it's going to be coming up here pretty soon.
Yes, and I think that what the undertaking that you're doing, John, taking this over is just tremendous. What an experience that you're going through right now. I really envy you that.
Well, thank you. Much to my wife's chagrin, I'm spending more time on AA stuff than I am cleaning the basement. So she's she's not going to be so thrilled when she meets Roger.
I suppose. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate this very much. We'll post this conversation on the Wednesday on the Wednesday release, so that everybody can listen and comment and know about the convention. Is there anything else that you want to say about it before we head on out?
Gosh, I don't think so. I'm looking forward to when it is over, being able to write up some sort of report on how it went. And no, I'm just and everyone is welcome to attend. We are getting hits on our website from faraway places. I don't know why, but we are. So anyone at this point is certainly welcome to attend.
Well, that's all we have for today. We hope you come back next week, hopefully, for another episode of AA Beyond Belief, the podcast.